A hilarious new stand-up special from comedy legend Jim Gaffigan, The Skinny, is coming to Hulu November 22nd. This Thanksgiving, see Jim in a whole new light as he gives you the inside scoop on everything from parenting teenagers to weight loss and gaslighting family members. For everyone in need of a happy hour, the new hilarious stand-up special, Jim Gaffigan, The Skinny, premieres November 22nd, streaming on Hulu.
Butterball knows Thanksgiving can bring so much joy, but also so many cooking questions. What size turkey? What's the best way to roast? How do I carve it? Don't panic. Butterball is here to help. Just give us a ring at the Butterball Turkey Talk line. We'll help with what's on the table so you can focus on those around it. Call 1-800-BUTTERBALL or text 844-877-3456 to reach our turkey experts. Butterball. Today, we turkey.
Ask me. Ask Iliza anything. It's time to ask. Ask me all your questions. Leave them in the Instagram comment section. Leave them on your Twitter or leave them on your Facebook. We'll see them. We'll read them. Then we'll give you answers. You know it. I've got it. I've got the answer. The answer. You ask me. I'll tell you anything. We had so many of you beautiful people write in questions for Smokey Husky. We had to do it in 2 parts. So fear not. Uplift your little pig hearts. If you didn't get your question read out loud, maybe this is the chance. What do you think?
I think this is our moment. We broke for lunch. I had 2 beers, and might get a little saucy on this one.
He's ready to get saucy. Let's get right to the difficult question. Smokey Husky, Nikki L316 writes, we're all familiar with Iliza's views on eliminating the use of less-use single plastic, but do you share those same views? And if so, are you able to successfully implement those views in your life, in your work life as well? I graduated culinary school in 2017, but have been working in restaurants and bakeries since 2013, and I always feel so guilty how much plastic I end up having to use each day. Do you guys have any advice on using less plastic in the kitchen?
Yes. I think I was a little more focused on this before we met.
He was. You had all the healthy views that I knew, but I'm slowly becoming you.
And I'm slowly becoming you as well as we grow into one.
In what ways?
Over time. Goofy voices. And
I'm super for one.
Yeah, the restaurant side of it is tough. There's, as you know, in the restaurant business, it's a huge part of it. Luckily, California has a lot of legislature kind of moving in those directions.
Yeah, I don't remember the last time I saw styrofoam. Like, that's like almost a thing of the past.
Yeah, but it's actually interesting data about it's just, we always talk about this, like with environmental impact. It's like, which part of the environment do you want to focus on?
Yeah.
And so I think it actually requires less carbon emissions to make styrofoam than it does to make single-use plastic. But it's all these complicated things. I
also want to say it's tricky when you go to like a green restaurant, like a vegan place. First of all, it's not necessarily better because it's deep fried, so maybe you're not hurting an animal. But then they give it to you in a plastic container.
Yeah, and again, it's that thing of which part do you
want to hurt yourself, an animal, the planet, carbon footprint, trees? Like, what do you want to kill today?
Yeah. So, you want to be vegan, but then your almond milk is destroying drought-stricken California's water supply. So, try to educate. And anything that you know that you can do that is guaranteed to be better. So, less waste, eating all your food versus throwing it away,
no
single-use plastic.
The ubiquity. There's Pokeballs on every corner. You don't deserve fresh tuna on every street. What are you, a shark? You don't deserve it. And then it's always in a takeout thing that's plastic. And then they're always like, it's compostable. No, it's not. You got to go to a commercial composting facility. You don't know where those are.
It's compostable, but doesn't mean it gets compost. Just because it's compostable, if you throw it into a landfill, it's not going to compost.
Yeah, beer's chuggable doesn't mean you should chug all your beer.
A fair point.
I'm able doesn't mean I'm going to do it.
I'm trying to lose as many listeners as we can right at the top.
You know what? Another thing. The movie business, show business is also a huge waster of plastics. When you go on a movie set, everything is fresh. Everything is, when you get your makeup done, they just use disposable, quote unquote, applicators and sponges, and the amount of waste, because people are all just kind of trying to do their jobs and nobody thinks about it, you know?
Well, and so often wealth is kind of represented by abundance, or it was historically, and then it became that abundance is just kind of
The standard.
Yeah, and so now I guess the way you represent wealth is by living like a peasant in the 1800s.
Oh my God, that's so true. It's so funny. You're like, I use an oat scrub, my reusable Venus cup, and a jade breast enhancer.
All of our clothes are washed in a river.
By poor people. Okay, moving on to questions that are less upsetting. McKenna Catherine, what's the most underrated spice, seasoning, and/or ingredient? Underrated. Triple X underrated.
Underrated is complicated, but what's this rating system we're going off of? But let's see. What are spices that I use a lot, at least?
I think yellow mustard is the best.
Mustard is, I would say more, yeah. Mustard as a spice is cool, but it's really, we use it more as a condiment. A prepared
truffle salt.
mustard.
It's really underrated. Not enough everywhere.
It is fancy. Well, this is kind of the truffle salt versus truffle oil thing. Most people don't realize if you go to a restaurant that has like a truffle pasta, if it's not $175 to eat it, that means they're using truffle oil, which is, for the most part, devoid of truffles. It's made in a laboratory to taste like something somewhat resembling truffle, but is not truffle.
Just so you know, in case you're going out for your birthday dinner. Okay, here we go. Service industry question. Lauren W _M7. I frequent a restaurant in my city regularly, about once a week. Well, if you frequent it, it is regular. Okay. 2 of the bartenders have gotten to know me and my eating and drinking habits so much that they know my drink, my entrees, my sides, etc. One day I went in and it was a different bartender, a person who's normally a server filling in for one of the regular bartenders. She was running around like a maniac. Her panic behavior was not comparable to how not busy the restaurant was. I was the only one sitting at the bar and there were 2 booths in her section. That's all. Additionally, the bar area was a mess. Dirty plates still left on the tables, empty glasses. I've seen the other 2 bartenders a lot busier, and their work area was still clean and tidy. When I found out she wasn't normally a bartender, I felt a literal relief, but decided not to go back on nights she worked because seeing her so panicky and manic made me really anxious when I just wanted to be left alone in peace and eat and watch the games on the TV. With that being said, my question is, when you go to a restaurant, is there anything that is a red flag for you that makes you think I won't be coming back here again? Not necessarily the food quality, but something else you notice in your first impression of the place. That was a lot of context, Lauren.
A lot of wind up.
Big wind up, tiny punch.
Sorry, so the question is, what are things we noticed that make us
Basically,
not...
Lauren went and you vote with
I
your...
got that part, but what's the question?
Red flags. That if the food's fine, you still wouldn't go back. We had that one waiter who cursed at us, but like was being cool. He's like, yeah, it's all fucking good. Like it's whatever, all the oysters are great. And I was like, too familiar.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, it does depend on the type of restaurant you're going to. Like if I go to San Gabriel Valley and eat at like a hole-in-the-wall Chinese restaurant that makes like amazing, beef rolls, and the Chinese waiter barely speaks English and treats me like shit, like I'm fine with it.
Right.
But if it happened at Osteria Mozza, it would be really weird. And
Well, it's like, what are you paying for? What experience are you paying for? Hole in the wall or fine dining?
Yeah, I always kind of say, and I used to do food writing for a living, and the way that I always thought about stuff with like restaurant reviews is what you're really trying to do is give someone the context that they need to be able to enjoy the place. So if you go into a restaurant with the wrong context, you could end up having a miserable experience if your expectations are for something totally different than what they're offering. That being said, if you're going to your neighborhood restaurant and you like it because of the familiarity and the way it's sort of an easy, nice, comfortable experience, and you have a harried, stressed out server or bartender, that sucks.
You know what goes a long way, I think? Because there's nothing worse. I hate this. I don't know if I think I'll call it like negative time. Like when you sit down and they give you the menu or they don't give you a menu. So you're just sitting there. And I understand waiters being busy. But when I'm sitting there for like 20 minutes and nothing's being accomplished and they come over, they're like, okay, ready? If all you have to do is come up and be like, hey, you guys, we're slammed. We will be right with you. Just let me know that I exist so that I'm not waiting for no reason.
Totally. And then if they are pretending as if nothing bad happened.
That drives me crazy.
Like, you're so much better off being honest with someone, saying, hey, listen, there was a huge mess up in the kitchen. Your plate fell on the ground. They had to make it again from scratch. Like, I'm so sorry. It'll be an extra 15 minutes. Is better than like, it'll be right out. We're a little backed up tonight. Like, that's a bullshit answer.
People tend to, and also when you're honest, it's like at the end of the day, at least you're being honest. We went to a restaurant in Vermont. Was it called Bartlett House?
Oh, maybe.
This always drives me crazy. I always feel like I'm on the outskirts of humanity. Everybody loves a thing. And I go and I'm like, this was mediocre. And everyone's like, oh, but we love it. And I'm like, I don't think I'm a monster. I think my bar is just a little bit higher. We went to this place. It was an old house or like a factory. And people are obsessed with it. So we go, we get right in. We sat there for at least 25 minutes. No one gave us water, nothing. Meanwhile, I'm looking around. Everyone's having a quaint, cozy, Vermontian breakfast. And I'm looking around and I'm watching lines of people up at the counter they're just going through them. They're getting their orders. And I'm like, well, what am I missing?
That was outside of Hudson, New York.
Sorry, it was in
Vermont,
Hudson.
right?
Sorry,
Yeah.
Vermont. Didn't mean it. And I'm sitting there thinking,
Everyone
wow.
in Vermont is lovely.
Vermont's perfect. Everyone loves this. It's so cozy. It's so cute. And then I finally went up to the counter and I was like, hi, can we order? And they were like, oh, okay. And it's that thing where you're like, I don't know, you sat me, I'm at a table. Don't make me feel like an asshole for giving you a chance.
And again, it's not about them being busy. You're allowed to be busy. I'm happy for you to be busy. But it's the way that you handle it and the way that you create an experience for someone.
I think that's life in general.
Yeah. That being said, to answer the question originally, my favorite thing to make fun of, to know it's a terrible restaurant, is like, no one's ever gone to an amazing restaurant where there was a guy standing outside asking you to come inside.
Oh, like in Europe when they're like, they hold the menu. They're like, signore, come in,
Please, come in.
Yeah, no one's ever really, and then we went in and they killed it. 5
And
stars.
it was the best M&M store I've ever been to.
Mad Cannon. My partner and I are opening a restaurant, deli and brewery concept in Boston. What's the best and worst advice you've been given when opening a restaurant?
I mean, everyone has the same joke.
Oh, yeah.
In the business, which is if you pay me $20,000, I'll tell you not to open a restaurant, and I'll save you about $800,000.
Yeah, it's the one that and show business probably the two worst businesses.
But the advice that I have is to be really patient and be really smart about your business plan. Really spend the time to focus on that part of it and to make sure that you understand the business side of it, because you can make great food and you can be busy and you can still lose money. So, food cost, labor cost, all the basic business school stuff that, most of us loved avoiding when we got into the restaurant business because it's like a safe haven for misfits. But learn all that stuff, become focused on it, because it will be very important. And that being said, try to create the way that I always kind of think about opening restaurants or writing books is try to make something that you think should exist but doesn't. And if you really want it to exist and it doesn't, then you're filling a hole in the market. And either you have good taste and you're right, or you don't and you're not.
Audrey Holstead, when you travel with Iliza, do you like to go off on your own exploring adventures while Eliza's working, or do you wait until she gets a chance to go with you? That being said, I hope Iliza gets to do some exploring while y'all are in a cool new area and isn't always slammed with work. Y'all are great.
It's both.
Both.
Depends on what she's doing. If she's doing press or a film shoot all day or whatever it is, then I love having free time alone to go explore a city. That being said, if she has a show and wants to eat dinner after, I'm not going to go to dinner without her and then watch her eat a sad salad.
We're actually
afterward.
working on trying to sell a show about this now, but a big part of our relationship is getting, it's 10 o'clock, what's open, and us just going on a little food adventure together. We love our food adventures. And you go get me food and you bring it back. Like when I was doing keto, you brought me all kinds of options, and I'll look at menus and I'll say, what should I eat? And he's like, here's what would be nice for you. And you help me because I don't know.
I do my best.
You do your best. Fall has fallen. Winter is on its way. The days are shorter. But just because, they feel shorter. And just because the days feel shorter doesn't mean your to-do list gets any shorter. You still have to power through your busy days. And a great way to do that is with nutritious food from Factor's no prep, no mess meals. At the end of a short day in the fall or the winter, the last thing you want to do is have to cook. Factor has got you covered from breakfast, snacks, dinner, anything in between, Factor has easy, nutritious options to keep you fueled, like their chicken Florentine with spinach and garlic chili cauliflower. You bet. That's what I want to make myself at the end of a day where I am exhausted and my husband isn't home. Whether you like routine or you enjoy mixing things up, Factor has you covered with 35 different delicious meals every week and over 60 additional convenience options you can add on, like keto cookies, pressed juices, and smoothies. And because Factor meals are chef prepared and dietitian approved, you're going to love not only Factor's meals taste, but also how they support your goals, even if your goal was just making yourself dinner. Head to factormeals.com/Iliza50 and use code Iliza50 to get 50% off your first box and 20% off your next month. That's code Iliza50 at factormeals.com/Iliza50 to get 50% off your first box plus 20% off your next month while your subscription is active. The holidays are here. And for a lot of us, the holidays mean decorating, hosting, celebrating. For me, it means a lot of traveling, and nothing feels better year-round, but especially during the cozy holidays, than a restful night's sleep in soft, luxurious sheets. Boll & Branch's signature sheets are made with the finest 100% organic cotton, and they get softer with every single wash. You already know that I got Boll & Branch this summer when I needed breathable sheets to sleep in, but this holiday season, I'm actually gifting some of my friends and family Boll & Branch's Ultimate Softness Bundle. I get to choose a signature hem sheet set in any color, a signature hem pillow set, and a waffle bed blanket. And they're all getting juniper because I think it's a classy color. This way you know you have something nice to sleep on when you visit. It's the perfect gift for you and them. Gift you and your loved ones a better night's sleep with Boll & Branch. And right now is their best offer of the entire year. For 25% off plus free shipping on your first set of sheets, head to bollandbranch.com/Iliza. That's Boll & Branch, BOLLAND branch.com/Iliza for 25% off. Limited time only, exclusions apply. See site for details. So finally, fall is here. I have been looking forward to it. I have had a hard year in a good way. You know, like I had a baby. I have been on a nonstop tour, nonstop traveling, and it's been hot. So I'm looking forward to, of course, pumpkin spice, everything, cooler weather, and slipping into a cozy sweater from Quince. I've talked about Quince before. Quince has beautiful leather jackets, cotton cardigans, soft denim, and so much more. All Quince items are priced 50 to 80% less than similar brands. Dressing expensive doesn't have to be expensive. Their clothing is beautiful, it's durable, it stands the test of time, and it's what I like to call a capsule wardrobe. I got an Italian wool cocoon coat. That's one of those, you know, it's got like a European collar and it covers my butt so I can walk around New York City and not be chilly. And Quince only works with factories that use safe, ethical, and responsible manufacturing practices. Get cozy in Quince's high-quality wardrobe essentials. Go to quince.com/Iliza for free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. That's QUINCE.com/Iliza to get free shipping and 365-day returns. Quince.com/Iliza. Susan Swizzle. What'd you say?
Doo-doo.
Doo-doo. Top tips for eating and cooking in ways that are environmentally sustainable?
Yeah, I mean, a general rule that we sort of try to live by, especially in home cooking with meat, is kind of the less and better model. So if you're eating higher quality meat, it is more expensive, and therefore you're going to eat it less. And by higher quality, I don't mean just like filet mignons, but the source of the meat is of a better variety.
Like, did it come from Susan the cow? Is she still with us?
Susan.
Susan.
So yeah, like there's this amazing farm called Peeds and Barnett in California that I love, and I buy their stuff to cook it at home. I'll even just buy stuff like I'll buy their lard or their fat pack and use that to cook other things in. And it's incredible. It's great quality stuff. It's very expensive, but it's expensive compared to really low quality factory farm stuff.
Absolutely. Megan_Kelch says, what's your go-to food to make eat when you get home drunk at 3 a.m.? We should tell them the story
Which one?
of Nanana.
Oh, that's not a drunk food.
It's an all the time tasty time.
That's just a want a desserty snacky thing at home, and we don't
really keep sugar in the house. Like nothing. There's no candy or anything.
And I don't really eat that much.
He
sweet
doesn't
stuff.
like sugar, and we're calling it ice cream, but it's not. It's like a smoothie that you make, and you tell me it's ice cream, but it's not.
Yeah, it's basically like a very
vacuum in the hallway. Whatever. We're in a hotel.
It's basically a very thick smoothie made of some form of like yogurt or like kefir with a lot of fruit and like chia seeds and ginger, and you really have to like move it around and shake it around to get it to blend because it's so thick. And then I'll usually throw it in the freezer after for 20 minutes, and we call it na ice cream because there was some weird like Korean pop song you somehow had on like a playlist when we were driving or somewhere. And we're pretty sure at one point that the song went na ice cream, and that's why it's called the na ice cream.
And that's the legend.
That being said, the drunk food,
I feel like you make pasta.
yeah, for sure.
On 4th of July, you made a vat of pasta for everyone.
Well, this is my go-to super easy pasta sauce that you can make for a crowd. I've made it for people like after their wedding even. You can feed a lot of people with very few ingredients, and it's the Marcella Hazan. Is it Hazen or Hazan? I think it's Hazan.
I certainly don't know.
Never met her.
What's going on?
It's this Marcella Hazan tomato butter sauce that is kind of infamous in foodie circles. And basically the ratio is 1 can of tomatoes to 1 stick of butter to 1 onion. And you crush the tomatoes, pour them into a pot, put a stick of butter in there with some salt, cut an onion in half, peel it, and put it inside. And you just simmer it for like 40 minutes. And it is the best pasta sauce in the world, basically.
40 minutes. I'll be sleeping by then. Natty's German. Hi, what's your favorite part about being married to Iliza? Does everyone constantly saying how great she is ever get tiring? I assume it's mostly heartwarming, but do you ever want to say something like, yeah, she's great and I love her, but you all don't even know how impossible it is for me to have 1 inch of shelf space in the bathroom? Or anything else that drives you crazy no one's aware of.
People don't come up to me and say that often.
Right.
Especially now, like, I'm not like sitting in the crowd surrounded by her fans, like fielding questions.
He doesn't like to go out. If you're at a show, he doesn't like to go out because he'll hear like it's Smokey Husky, and you're not an attention seeker.
If I'm looking for your attention, it'll be because I'm hopefully like selling or promoting something like a book or whatever it is. I'm not there I don't like attention for the sake of attention. I like if it's for a restaurant or something like that, then it's valuable. But yeah, I guess.
You know what? I feel like the typical tropes for marriage, I think it's easy to fall into them like, oh, I guess he's sleeping on the couch tonight. But I get all the bathroom space because I have more things. And you have 3 things to your name. You have 1 sweater that I got you, some aftershave, and a natural deodorant that I asked you to get. So you don't need the room.
Yeah, the bathroom thing, I don't care about at all.
There's very little that men actually care about.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. And I made room in the kitchen. That's all yours. That's all your stuff. The cookbooks are there. We each have our little areas. And other than that, no one cares. Yeah. I don't even go in the kitchen. I open the refrigerator sometimes. And then there's this man that appears and he's like, what can I help you with? Like, I can't even go in my own kitchen.
Yeah, I'm definitely not like dying to have an excuse to tell somebody why the person that they think is great is not as great as they think.
Yeah, there you go. Question for you. Let's get into the love stuff.
Oh, boy.
_ Hannah Shorty. Hi, Iliza, Emily, Scott, Smokey Husky. I've been single for nearly 4.5 years, now 26, and have off and on been using dating apps over this period. I match with people when we talk, but things seem to fizzle out pretty quickly after about a week or so. As you guys met over dating app, do you have any advice to give to someone who feels like they've exasperated all avenues? I'm not in a rush to be in a relationship, and I've enjoyed this time on my own, but now I'm thinking about moving out of my parents' home. It would be more feasible to do that with someone than solely on my own. Not true. But I'm struggling to really connect with anyone who doesn't just want sex or a casual fling. Not opposed to casual hookups, but that's just not who I am. Any help would be great. P.S. Love the podcast. Definitely helps with my commute, home, across the pond, from the UK, directly to your ears.
Yeah, definitely move out if you want to not live with your parents anymore.
Definitely
but
move out on your own.
Have it be tied at all to being with somebody else.
Yeah, please.
And if you're not connecting with them, then don't be with them. Like, keep waiting, keep looking. There was a stretch of my being single where I was convinced that, not convinced, but I started to wonder if maybe, you get older and you know too much and that like falling in love is for young people. And I was sort of going, okay, I guess I'm happy being alone. And if the right person doesn't come along, then maybe I'll be alone. And then I met Iliza, and that was it.
Sometimes you're alone, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not there all the time. That's very sweet. I also think please move out on your own first. Know what it's like to have your own space and rely on yourself and decide in what capacity you need someone. When we met each other, I had my own home, my own everything, and you know yourself a little bit better. If you move out with someone, then you break up and it's like, well, whose name's on the lease? And or I don't know how they do it in the UK. Whose name's on the parchment? I don't know. So and also I noticed that you're saying like, I'm okay with being alone. I'm enjoying the time. Women always have to qualify it. Like no one's ever allowed to be like, I want a boyfriend without saying like, but I'm loving my me time. You're allowed to love both. You're allowed to hold both ideas as sacred in your head. You're 24. I promise you, you're going to meet someone.
Well, it's like people would ask you, it's like, do you want to be in a relationship? Like, do you want to get married ever? And it's like,
Yeah, to the right person.
you answer him. That's my joke.
Welcome to the rest of your life, buddy.
Yeah. So, you set a high standard for yourself. And if I always described it as you want to meet somebody who you like being with more than you like being by yourself. And hopefully you like being by yourself because that's an important thing to like. And it's how you grow as a person.
But don't move out of your parents' house just to be with someone else. You'll never know how great it is to be on your own or even just to have the experience. Maybe you hate it and then at least you know, but don't deny yourself that chance to grow. And don't deny yourself the chance to walk away from a date and pass out naked eating food on your bed alone. It's the best if you don't choke. Indecisive _N_ creative. What's the most important thing you believe your relationship has taught you? Just the one, dear.
The most important thing a relationship has taught me. I don't know that it's specifically taught me anything, but it reaffirms more philosophical things that I believe in, which is about trying to always grow as a person and be a better version of yourself every day that you can. And it is easier to do when you're with somebody who you want to be better with and for. But hopefully it affirms the things that you believe deeply already and continues to grow and get better.
Yeah. I'm not a very patient person. I try to be patient because you're very centered and very mellow. But that being said, the longer I am married to you, the more I believe I'm becoming like a Korean War vet Republican grandpa. And as hippie as I can be, like as liberal as I am, there are times where I'm like, quit complaining. I don't want to hear it. Or there are times where you'll be like, let's talk about something. I'm like, I don't want to talk about it. We're done here. And then the other day I opened a bottle cap in the doorway and I was shooting pool the other day, hitting all the pockets. So sometimes I really do feel very Texas around you.
Yeah, and that part's great.
No, that's very sweet of you, sweet man.
The fun parts, the bad parts are not as good.
Whoa, what are bad parts?
Like the Texas here, there's certain political things we've gotten into that are...
For the record of everyone, I vote Democrat and I'm extremely liberal. But then sometimes I'll say stuff and he doesn't agree. And I'm like, what? I'm not a bad person. Just put him on a bus. No. Carol, where's the best street food you've ever had and why? Fucker. She didn't say fucker.
I mean, we had some good stuff in Thailand, if I remember correctly. It was a little blurry, but I think we had some...
It was very blurry. You do remember correctly.
What's the difference between street food versus, like, I think in certain countries, street food is a much more vague category because, like, the restaurants are outside in the first place.
Oh, I see. I think of more like a vendor. Like, I think of a hawker stalls as street food. And I think like the carts in Thailand, like any of those outdoor markets, I think of those as street food.
Yeah, that's fair.
If you're eating it on the street. I vote anything Asian. Like, all Southeast Asian, like Malaysia had really cool street food.
Yeah, for sure. But you know what?
You like Tokyo.
But like, do those count as street food?
Whereas
no. Like, you know what? Like,
probably Thailand.
Mexico has amazing street food.
There you go.
I've eaten unbelievably great, like tortas and burritos and tamales and tacos, even just in Tijuana, which is
it's where you had your bachelor party.
Deeply underrated food city in the world. I think it gets like represented as like this like San Diego like hooker festival where you'd like go over the border and like get the clap and
The clap. And then I sail home to my wife. It's 1946.
But the food in Tijuana was awesome.
That's good. That's where you went there. You had a nice time, you tell me.
Been a few times.
You have been a few times. Funny hippie. Is my fear of sending food back unnecessary? I'm typically easy to please, but there have been times where the food was lukewarm or just bad, or I refuse to complain because I'm so scared they're going to do something to my food. Not going to do something to your food. You won't know if they do, so who cares?
And also, like, that only happens in really shitty restaurants. So I think you should be more afraid of going to shitty restaurants than going to restaurants that are going to punish you for sending food back.
Somebody spits in your soup, you'll never know. Somebody's probably already spit in your soup, and you're still able to send me this question. So I think you're okay.
Like, thank God it's only spit.
Oh my God. What are you talking about? Jizz? Is that what you're talking about? Winking at me?
Who knows?
Yeah, you're trying to keep it clean.
Keep it precise.
Hank Vanagan. Eliza, great podcast. Took a date to your show in Windsor, Canada. We loved it. Question for you, Smokey Husky. I'm a decent cook, and I love to cook for my woman friend. My woman friend. We're both 54, so girlfriend doesn't really fit. Aw.
This voice you were doing did not make sense.
I didn't realize he was 54 when I said it. What would be your easier to make yet impressive meal? Thanks, Hank.
Easier to make yet impressive. I mean, I think if you're ever trying to impress somebody with a meal, you should definitely have cooked it before you cook it for them. It'll take pressure off you, which will make you better at it. My staple stuff a lot of time is I grew up cooking Italian foods. That's very much my comfort food stuff. And, if you're having somebody over and cooking for them, you want to pick something that you can do as much of it in advance as you can. So, like, if they like eating, like a nice bolognese, like you want to be able to you can make that 3 days in advance if you want to. Slow cook it for a long time, and by the time they get there, you've already made salad dressing and a side salad. All you have to do is boil pasta, and you're like ready to go. That's kind of my big key. Do something you've done before, and do something that requires very little effort by the time they come over, so you can just be drinking wine and getting ready to.
Can I be honest though? Like, you are a chef and you are a good cook, and it wasn't something that I was looking for or expected, like in a partner. I think just the act of someone wanting to cook for another person is very sweet. And you'd have to be a monster to be like, he cooked me pasta that was underdone and like I couldn't fuck him. Like, that's such a sweet thing, especially for a man to want to cook for a woman. To me, it really is more about the act. That being said, when you cook something that isn't good and you get upset, like, the night is over. Like, I have to go find him in a corner and talk him down. And I'm like, give me the razor.
I've gotten better at it. Cooking, I mean. Not messing up. No.
I'm like, are you crying?
But yeah.
That's my story. One of my favorite stories. When we first started dating. Because you're such like an evolved hippie, and like you can be like a masculine, like we have to redefine what manly is. Like, you're a manly dude and you're very comfortable with yourself. And I've never heard you make, this is just saying, I've never heard you make one racist joke. I've never heard you make a gay joke. Like, you are like this thoroughbred California liberal, like solid oak, like good person with like an unshakable moral compass. Like, you don't compromise on your ethics or your morals, and anything you say, you'd be happy if anyone else heard it. Like, you don't say things that are like secretly shitty, and you're so comfortable with who you are. And on like, it's like a little bit sooner than I would have liked, but it was like the fifth date. And you were telling me how much you liked me, and you teared up. And I, being like a frat boy stuck in a feminist body, I was like, are you crying? Expecting you to be like, no, or like, I'm fine. And you just said what?
I said, I'm an emotional man.
And you just knew who you were. I'm an emotional man. And I thought that was, and the fact that I was like, okay with that, I was like, yeah, this works.
Yeah,
it was
that's just real masculinity.
It is, men, when you own who you are, and women too. Your emotion, how you're feeling.
Also, tough guys are emotional too. They just shove it down.
They're just shooting up schools. Oh, brutal.
Hide it. Hide
it until it becomes some sort of calcified stone, and then pee it out through your urethra while you go under local anesthesia. So it's important to express. When Blanche passed away, everyone's like, just let it out. I was like, I don't know what about me you think wouldn't allow myself to feel all my emotions. I have no problem crying in public. I have no problem saying how I feel. You don't have to be brash about it, but you can just know that your feelings are valid.
And we all process stuff differently. I don't think it like Blanche really hit me until like we got home weeks later. I thought I was doing well and it didn't hit me as hard. And then
we were in Japan.
Later we come back to LA and you're fine and I'm like struggling.
I was in bed for days just crying in Japan, and Smokey was just like off. He's gonna go meet people. Like, and
I was eating a lot of ramen.
You were eating a lot. You were eating feelings. We got back to LA and I was like, well, it was a blessing. Life is full circle. And that's when it hit you. She was a small woman with a meaty butt.
Small but dense.
I've noticed that, at least since I've had my babies, that I smell differently when I sweat. Maybe I'm just like getting older. I don't know, but I smell differently. And I don't love that. If I'm on set or if I'm on stage or if I'm doing anything like functioning in public and I don't want sweat stains or to be aware of my stinky, stinky pits, that's when I turn to Lumi Whole Body Deodorant because it keeps me smelling fresh all day. Lumi is seriously safe to use anywhere on your body. Pits, under boobs, right wings, thigh folds, belly buttons, butt cracks, your feet. It's clinically proven to block odor all day and control odor for up to 72 hours. How? Well, unlike certain traditional deodorants that may try to mask odor with a fragrance, Lumi is formulated and powered by mandelic acid to stop odor before it starts. Lumi's starter pack is perfect for new customers. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like mini body wash or deodorant wipes, and free shipping. As a special offer for listeners, new customers get 15% off all Lumi products with our exclusive code. If you combine the 15% off with the already discounted starter pack, that equals over 40% off the starter pack. Use code Iliza for 15% off your first purchase at lumideodorant.com. That's code Iliza at LUMEDEODORANT.com.
A hilarious new stand-up special from comedy legend Jim Gaffigan, The Skinny, is coming to Hulu November 22nd. This Thanksgiving, see Jim in a whole new light as he gives you the inside scoop on everything from parenting teenagers to weight loss and gaslighting family members. For everyone in need of a happy hour, the new hilarious stand-up special, Jim Gaffigan, The Skinny, premieres November 22nd, streaming on Hulu.
Susie, PDX. Hi, gang. You make my Wednesday commute so much more fun. Question for the Smokey Husky hottie. I have a favorite restaurant that has a chef's counter that overlooks part of the kitchen. They often serve the counter taste of some of the goodies on the menu. I always sit there and I love the guys who work the counter. Feed me and you might as well have proposed. Do I need to tip extra for this? I haven't yet. I'm a 20% default kind of person, but am I doing a faux pas? I want to fix that ASAP. Thank you.
No, you're fine.
Okay, great. Also, if they pool their tips, it's fine.
Yeah, also, like, that's part of the experience of what they're creating.
Yeah, you're giving up sitting at a chair with a back so you can sit hunched over the chef's counter and smell like oven smoke. So you don't have to pay extra.
I always prefer eating at the counter or at the bar.
I like the interactive experience.
Yeah, it's also great for dates. I love, back when I used to go on a lot of first dates, sitting at the bar with somebody, like having dinner at the bar versus at a table. A table always feels like a job interview. At the bar, like your knees are touching, you're sharing plate. It's more romantic. It's more fun.
Ooh, knee touching. Oh, touch those calves. Lindsay _Runyon. Runyon Bunyon. Iliza and Smokey Husky. Did either of you have any wedding day fears, i.e., that it would be boring or the food would be bad or people wouldn't show? I'm getting married in 3 weeks. Well, this episode won't come out in time. And I have constant anxiety that something will go terribly wrong. Am I alone in this one? Any tips on getting through the wedding day planning crunch time? Well, yes. First of all, watch my special Unveiled on Netflix. Second of all.
That's great advice.
Thank you. Any wedding day fears? You knew the food would be great because you helped with it.
Yeah, well, I also like put one of the best chefs in the world in charge of the food, so that definitely helps.
Shout out to Jeremy Fox. Check out his restaurant, Runyon, Rustic Canyon.
He does not typically do weddings, by the way. That was a...
You can still go to Rustic Canyon. You can get his book on vegetables that Smokey Husky wrote.
Yes, definitely go to Rustic Canyon and Birdie G's in Santa Monica. He's amazing. I just mean don't like ask him to cook for your wedding. It's a funny thing. Like, you want those things to all go well and everyone to have a good time. And you want to have a memorable wedding. But at the end of the day, like, I always talked about this when I asked Iliza to marry me. I did it because I wanted to be married to her, not because I wanted to have a wedding. And all of a sudden I realized there's so much stuff we have to do now.
Yeah.
So, all I wanted was, my only goal was that by the end of the wedding, we were married. And we barely pulled it off.
Goal achieved. Barely. Squarely.
You barely made it down the aisle.
Oh,
not out of like a runaway bride scenario, but out of like a your legs didn't work scenario.
It was just so surreal. I was crying. It hit me so hard.
I was so relieved that you were so emotional about it because I was worried you'd be like, all right, we'll get this thing done. We'll get out of here. We'll get back on the road.
Let's get you jerked off and let's get home. Mariana Clarianco. Question for you both. Any tips on navigating, helping, supporting, understanding a creative artist, self-employed spouse? I could say this. I know how important it is to be creatively fulfilled. And so I always, because I am an artist, I want that for you as well, because you do something creative. If you did something with accounting, I'd be like, well, whatever you got to do. But,
creative accounting.
Yeah, but like taking gigs or not taking gigs, of course you need to make money and be an active participant in our marriage and society. But it's important for me that you be happy and fulfilled. Otherwise, you die as a person.
Yeah, and it's you support in the various ways that you can. And so, supporting each other emotionally, sometimes it'll be financially, sometimes whatever it is in that your relationship requires. And I think it's important to do those things as long as you both are open and communicating about what the deal is. And as long as you're on the same page, then that's great. I'm a big believer in communicating a lot and talking.
We talk a lot.
Yeah, I always say I will tell you everything that I'm feeling as long as I'm aware of it, which is I'm not as good at as a lot of people. It's you have different things you're good at or bad at, and sometimes some people are not the best at registering their emotions at the time. Iliza knows immediately how she feels about things. Sometimes
and you will too.
Sometimes it takes me a couple hours.
I'll wake up in the morning and I'll just look at him. I'll go, "What's wrong?" He's like, "Nothing." I'm like, "I can feel it. What's going on?" And like 20 minutes later, he'll be like, "Yeah, I was just in a bad mood about a bad dream." I can feel your energy. I'll be like, "What's happening here?"
Yeah,
but that's okay.
And I had to learn that she is right about it most of the time, and I need to not just assume that just because I'm not aware of it that I'm not feeling it.
Yeah, I feel like there's always that thing in relationships where the girl's like, "What's wrong?" And the guy's like, "Nothing." In this case, I'm like, no, something's wrong. You're going to tell me what it is as soon as you figure it out. So I know. EKT19. Hey, Smokey, Husky, and Iliza. Food questions. What were your first impressions of each other? So we'll start with that.
Didn't we do this one last time?
No.
Mine was hot.
That was different. Okay, fine. That's very sweet. I remember I thought you had pretty blue eyes, which everybody thinks. And I remember thinking you were very loud in the movie theater. But I thought it was cute.
Due to overexcitement.
I knew it. I could tell it. Does Iliza use the same sound effects from her stand-up and conversation at home?
No. I don't
make a lot of noises.
Lots of noises, but they're not the same ones that are in your...
Yeah, I don't like run bits.
Yeah, you have like...
I definitely have this voice.
Yeah.
Cue. Rhythmic fucking initiated.
Yeah, I think it's usually more the other way around. She'll do a voice at home and it'll end up in her act. It's not like, I think that's more accurate.
We have voices. You get shy. Like you won't do it right now.
What do you want?
Who's in there?
Oh.
Keep it precise. We don't have much. Just grits. Big camp.
I feel like I've been doing voices on this podcast already, and I don't think either of us realized it, which is terrifying.
Being Jewish is a huge part of Iliza's identity, is it? What would you say is an equally huge part of your identity, Smokey Husky? And by identity, we mean body. And by huge, please specify your penis. My mom's listening.
It's very thick and very short. It's 8 inches wide.
Blow out the whole region.
Big part of my identity. I mean, I guess I associate a lot with kind of, my mom was like upstate New York, raised by, an Italian mother. And my dad was like a Westchester Jew who sort of raised me kind of on the hippie sides. So I think that like California hippie mixed with like that Italian family thing where you basically pretend that eating a lot of spaghetti counts as an identity. And those two things combined, I think, are pretty accurate for me.
When we went to the mountain to visit your brother, you were a different man. You're a nature man.
I love it.
And we call him at home, Noah calls himself secret health man.
I would happily live in a cabin in the woods with a nice smokestack and magically still get to go to the city very conveniently whenever we want to.
Oh, cool. And I'll be off with my new husband. Oh, you hated it. I live in
You like it out there too.
I like it out there too. So what? I'm a nature girl.
You're getting more like me as time goes by.
Your dad and stepmom have the same haircut. Like you and I are slowly melding. Your nose is not that far off from what my nose was. So if we have a baby, it had better be great at sports or very tall. Because no girl should have that nose.
Or a guy.
No.
Okay.
K24 Baker. I'm having my birthday dinner at Bloodso's. What should we order? Also, I'm the chef at Kitchen 24. We'd love to have you both in. Keep being awesome. You guys are rad. Shout out to Kitchen 24. I used to live over by the one that's on Vine. So a little bit closer. Before Postmates was a thing. So maybe it was Grubhub. And I would get my food delivered. And they have, I think it's called the Melrose salad.
It's
the Kawanga chop. And I used to get it all the time. Tasty times.
I frequently walk past that on my way to the farmer's market.
Oh, yeah. It's right there.
Hollywood Farmer's Market.
What do we say? Tasty times.
It's lovely. Call for tasty measures. If you're going with a big enough group, just get the whole menu. I mean,
They do like a big sample platter.
Yeah, it's not that big of a menu. It's barbecue, etc. But
Get the hot links.
Yeah, the hot link is becoming like one of my favorite things there. The brisket is great. I don't eat there that much anymore because
You don't eat there at all.
That's true.
Because you make it. The rib tips. Everything's great. Everything's really great. And they've got a key lime pie that'll rock your clock. Rock your clock. All right, let's look at this one. Oy. Ken ZQ21. Growing up, I was a picky eater, and I had a tough relationship with veggies. Since learning a decent amount of culinary skills, I've begun to enjoy vegetables when prepared properly. What are some good veggie-forward dishes, techniques that will help expand my love of vegetables? Thanks.
There's so many. I'm working on something right now all about that, but it's a lot to dig into. But veggie forward dishes. I mean, I love making soups. Like I grew up making a lot of like minestrone soup. So like going to a farmer's market and just buying up tons of delicious looking produce and then just making it all up into a really nice soup is a great thing.
Eggplant and mushrooms to me are very meaty. You could have that instead of steak. Tasty times.
Yeah.
Mushrooms are great because they take on any seasoning. And eggplant's great because put some miso paste on it.
Yeah, one of my little go-to mushroom preparations that Iliza loves, I'll put it in like a legume bowl. Oh, this is horrible sounding when I say it that way.
Say it again.
A legume bowl.
Legume bowl.
Or on a rice bowl, something like that, or just as a little snack is buying mushrooms and like sautéing them in a mixture of like basically half butter and half soy sauce or tamari. And I'll even throw a little rosemary in there and maybe a garlic clove and finish it with lemon. But in general, the half butter, half soy sauce thing is one of like the great secret combinations that's incredibly easy to do and makes mushrooms taste great.
Also, you can get On Vegetables, the book that he wrote for Jeremy Fox. Beautiful pictures, and they're all vegetable-forward dishes, as was our wedding.
I feel like we've done like a bunch of sponsored ads for On Vegetables over the course of these two podcasts.
And yet, no more money in my pocket. Ariana Danielle. I was in a 2-year-long relationship with someone I thought I was going to marry. We had a previous history, and he was my best friend. I graduated college, moved temporary to Alaska to work while he went to one of the Carolinas to do an internship. This was the third summer. We did long distance, and we were pros. Homeboy emailed me his breakup after 2 weeks of ghosting. Ugh. After the email, he promised to explain himself and never called, yet had the balls to message me on my birthday 2 weeks later. It's now been over a year, and I'm much better personally. My experience with men in the last year have been terrible. I want to get back into dating, but part of me is just terrified to be that open again. How did you get back into the dating pool after a breakup? What advice do you have for someone looking for their person?
You can get back out there without being too open.
Yeah, there you go. Ooh, men love a mysterious, closed-off girl.
And, let them earn it. Or, feel it out. I think that men are terrifying, disgusting people on the whole. And so if you want to make sure that they're worth your time, then you deserve to do that.
Also, like, you're super young, and he just sounds like a big P. Big poser. Boys get scared, and he was probably ashamed of the way that he did it. I've had this happen before where guys are like, look, I was just embarrassed of my behavior, and it was your birthday, so he's like, I guess I'll reach out, that there's an opening. He's probably just embarrassed and ashamed, and he doesn't know how to process it. And 5 years later, when you're married and he accidentally has 3 kids, he'll Facebook you and be like, yeah, I was immature, but I found the Lord. You got to let it go, especially when you're younger. Like, you'll meet someone else, it'll be fine. That guy was just immature. That's it. Nothing wrong, nothing to think about.
Or just shitty. He could be.
Or
he could
he's
be
just
both.
shitty. Yeah, but you don't let one ruin the bunch. You have to make a decision when someone hurts you or breaks your heart to not pay it forward. Because there's a guy out there who just want to take you on a nice date, make you a nice dinner, wrap you up in plastic, put you in the trunk of the car.
And not punish yourself for somebody else's mistake.
Yeah, fuck that dude. Trundle Troll. A question for Smokey Husky. It's been mentioned that you tend to be on the quiet side. Any tips for being a quiet alpha? Are you an alpha?
I mean, I think that there's categories of it. Like, it depends on what we're doing. Like,
Yeah.
this thing where it's like you have to be an alpha even if you don't give a shit about what you're talking about. It's like, don't even bother. Like, I don't care about certain people's opinions of me. I don't care if people think I am the best person in the room at something. I know that I am not a great basketball player. I enjoy playing it, not that good at it.
And I know it now too.
But I can probably fucking smoke a whole pig better than that basketball player.
Whoa, shots fired.
Yeah, I think if you're quiet because you're afraid, that's different. If you're quiet because you don't give a shit, that's some real alpha. Is like the alpha of yourself. That sounds like the worst book I could possibly write.
The alpha of yourself, self-published in my garage.
Yeah, I think quiet confidence and earned confidence are valuable things. Pretend confidence about something that you're not qualified to be confident about is oftentimes a waste of my time, and I don't want to be around it, so I'm not going to talk to you.
There
Not
you go.
You, but the theoretical
No,
you.
we're talking to you, Trundle Troll. Jennifer McKay, my husband and I recently got married in August. Our wedding was everything we had dreamt of and more. We had been a little down since the wedding. We had 2-year engagement, excitedly anticipated our wedding during that time, planning carefully to ensure it was personal and fun. Now we feel is that we don't have much to look forward to. We are unsure about bringing kids in the world. Did you and Smokey Husky experience similar feelings after your wedding? No.
No, Eliza had too much stuff going on.
Eliza had an almost nervous breakdown on the honeymoon, and we had to come home.
Yeah, and then I was, I think you still need to both have things that you're working toward or find peace in whatever it is that you're doing. Your wedding day can't define your marriage because that will hopefully have been a long time ago soon, and you just got to keep living your
Yeah, but it's
life.
like when you have it's like this big buildup, and then it's over, and you're like, and now what? And now what is what marriage is? I guess it's the rest of your life.
It's also, maybe I'm a weirdo, but I always looked forward more to the being married part than the getting married part. Because that's what I wanted. And maybe that's a male versus female thing where, I never, guys typically don't envision their wedding day. I wanted to be married to Iliza, and I got to do that. And that's the part that I care about.
Piggybacking off that, Eli Wright 319 says, I'm a Southerner who now lives in the Pacific Northwest. Friends and I always disagree on how to pronounce caramel. I would love to hear your thoughts, Smokey Husky. Is it caramel or caramel?
I can tell you what I say. I don't really...
Do it.
Caramel.
Caramel. Yeah, Carmel is weird. But Carmel
is a
right,
place.
is a place.
Yeah. If you guys are spending that much time disagreeing about it, that just sounds boring to me.
Let's do a deeply personal one. Then we'll do some rapid fire. Ooh. And then we'll do a trap of the crap. Cha-cha Chelsea 8. Yes, I've been waiting for this episode to happen for a while. The question is for either or both of you. My boyfriend and I recently moved into a house together. We've been together 2.5 years and finally decided to take the step into home ownership. Since my boyfriend did most of the legwork and paperwork to get us the house, it's currently in his name until we get married. The problem is his family often insists on correcting me that it is not in fact our house, but his house. My boyfriend and I are both paying our share of the mortgage and bills, but it feels like his family, including extended family, only think of me as a freeloader living in his house. Mind you, my family has said nothing but supportive things about whatever it is we do and have been, turning the page, thrilled at our new step toward homeownership. Do I let it go? Do I confront his family? Or is this something my boyfriend has to address?
Yeah, I definitely think that the issue at the core of this is not the mortgage, but it's the relationship with the family. So I think you need to address that in whatever way will lead to you guys having the best relationship.
Yeah. I mean, also, I don't know your situation, but you've been dating for that long and you just moved into a house together. I wouldn't have done it without an engagement ring. But someone's name's got to be on the lease, or I guess not a lease, on the papers. And I guess, I don't know if you can do it with the two of you if you're not legally bound. But it does sound like he needs to say, like, hey, and by the way, like that's sticky because you are contributing to his property. If you guys break up, like, it's his, and I don't know what kind of claim you have.
Also, I mean, I don't know. That's, to me, is neither here nor there. You guys can have whatever financial arrangement you want. To me, the issue is, it sounds like his family, based on the information that you're giving me, is treating you like shit. I mean, what do we know? You may have done something horrible too.
You may have done something horrible too.
Us. Yeah, I think the issue is the relationship with his family, and that's just their way of getting.
Or they may not like you. It could be that. Like, it could be like, also, like, how is he representing you to them? And is it really half the mortgage? Is it just a little bit? Is it utilities? Is it actually freeloading? But regardless, if he loves you, he needs to stand up and have them come correct and put the fear of God and have it come to Jesus. It's now time for a segment I just invented. It's called, what's this one? No, I lied. We're going to do rapid fire. Pew, pew, pew. Ilana Sanders. Ilhana.
Welcome back to Rapid Fire, in which I slowly read someone's Instagram handle.
Ilhana Ocasio-Sanders. Best pizza joint in LA? Go.
I actually have no idea. I've had this debate with my friends a bunch. You know what? I'll say this. Prime Pizza. It's the place that I opened. But
yeah.
That's a bullshit answer because it's great.
It's pretty great.
Very, very, very. It's the best New York style pizza in LA. But best pizza's complicated.
Hookup guy. Best way to make a grilled cheese sandwich?
Slow and low.
Rachel McCuskey. What is the best?
Mayonnaise on the outside of the bread, lower smoke point, more golden brown. And then just take your time with it, slow and low, cover it, let it get nice and crispy. Don't burn it up too much.
And in 2 hours, you should have half of a grilled cheese sandwich.
Oh, I started one before I left on this trip. I'll be ready for it when we get home.
Rachel McCuskey. What's the best way to make a simple steak without a grill? Love you, Iliza.
Do it in a pan, a nice cast iron skillet. Get it nice and hot. A good trick is rather than oiling the whole pan, just baste the outside of the steak with the oil, and then keep it super hot, and then flip it constantly. I think people do the whole like flip it once thing, which I think is actually incorrect. So what ends up happening is you get way larger of a gray band on your steak. If you keep flipping it, it allows each side to rest. You get a nice crust on both sides. Then at the end, baste it with a little butter, maybe throw some herbs in there.
And
tasty times.
Keep it precise. Mace.Reschner. What's your favorite go-to vegetarian dish? Quick!
Spaghetti and tomato sauce.
Sam Dean. What the heck do you do with the beets to make them tasty?
I like beets, kind of as
Gotta like that dirt flavor.
Simply roasted.
Turn that light on. Smack it.
Yeah. Sorry, guys. We're gonna turn this light on.
Oh, that didn't do anything. All right, we'll sit in the dark. Go on.
I like a roasted beet, and then let it kind of chill down, peel the skin off. You can toss it in a little like vinegar, and then have a nice salad with it.
What, Katie the Fox? What's your knife brand of choice?
I'm not like a big, like crazy knife knowledge guy. I use Wusthof knives for the most part. I kind of like a multi-purpose workhorse knife. I like something that is sharp and is strong enough that you can sort of do some good sort of fine chopping if you need to, but you can also like cut through the backbone of a chicken if you need to as well.
that's
Like
brutal.
versus like those super thin, delicate Japanese knives, which are great for like, very precise cutting, but you can chip if you try to go through bones and things like that.
Didn't I get you a knife that said Smokey Husky
I mean, 2 knives.
engraved on it? Well, the other one is a whole long story.
Yes.
But I got you one that said Smokey Husky engraved on it.
You did.
When I met you, I was weird because I had it ready to go on the first date. I was like, you will be the Smokey
Yeah, you
Husky.
had the nickname ready before you met me.
It's weird. Paulac 711. Best suggestion for Thanksgiving side dish that doesn't call for butter or cream. I'm scouring magazines for new ideas, but dairy all seems to be key, and I don't want to eat meat and dairy, and no one is giving up turkey. I will post the beacon date soon. It'll be in the spring.
Let's see. Without dairy, I had one I was going to tell you, then you said without dairy.
I got one.
Yeah?
Cream spinach, but use cashew cream. I bought one from Erewhon. It was $8,000, and it was tasty.
That's enough with the cashew cream and the fake replacement things. And no, you just end up like making a worse version of another dish because you don't want to use the thing that's supposed to go into it.
Tasty for me.
One of the things that I think is,
Sorry, folks.
yeah, that has dairy in it too. Man, I wish I'd been prepped.
How about
for
like
this
a
question.
roasted, like turnips or like roasted carrots? Tasty.
Yeah, you don't like roasted carrots that much.
I like them.
One thing that I like to do a lot is if you buy a mandolin, or as my brother calls it, a Japanese finger slicer, and you get things like acorn squash and potatoes, and like sort of root vegetable and things like that, and slice them all like super duper paper thin. You can basically layer them almost like a casserole dish with olive oil and like thinly sliced garlic and salt. And if you have like some smoked chilies and things like that, and I'll even steam some Swiss chard or microwave it and layer that in between. And you kind of get this very nice kind of flavorful, almost like a dairy-free gratin or gratin, as my mom always called it. That being said, if you put cream and cheese into it, it's extra good.
Extra
But you can
tasty.
do it with olive oil, smoked chilies and garlic are great because smoked things bring a lot of nice flavor into stuff.
I love smoked things.
Or another one is making like a tomatillo mashed potato, and that way, or like poblano chili mashed potato, and so you can do it without using dairy. You can use like oils and kind of juicier things like tomatillo, so you get a lot of the flavor and acidity into it, so it's super bright and herby without having to use butter.
Tasty times. Call for tasty measures. Nicolea, a whole lot of pineapple on pizza. Yay or nay? I hate this question.
I don't get why this is such a big thing. If you like it, then great. I would never order a whole pizza with it because it's a lot. But yeah, I'll have a slice of a Hawaiian pizza.
Lauren Celeste Deleger, I took your advice and bought truffle salt. Now, what do I put it on? Besides pasta and pizza and mushrooms.
Great one. This is from Nancy Silverton recipe. She has many successful restaurants in the Mozza Empire, but make a truffle butter, which has been a really
Real divisive.
ruined phrase through hip hoppery. Basically, truffle salt and butter make a truffle salt butter compound, and then let it kind of be room temperature. And then butter breadsticks and wrap it in prosciutto, and it's a great little thing to put out at parties, and it is exquisite.
It's very expensive.
That being said, truffle butter, again, too bad about the name now.
Thanks a lot, Nicki Minaj.
But great for like scrambled eggs, things like that, bread. But yeah, those are big ones.
Do you know what truffle butter is?
Oh, popcorn.
Oh, yes, truffle. You know what truffle butter is in hip hop? Do you know what it actually is?
I would like to hear you describe it.
Do you know?
I would like you to tell me in great detail.
Do you know?
I thought I knew.
Tell is it?
If I'm wrong, it's going to be a really
No, I think
gross
you're right.
podcast.
If you're this trepidatious about it, you're probably right.
I guess I don't know the order of events, but I thought it had to do with like semen dripping down into the butthole.
Yep.
All right.
And then you blow bubbles in it.
Oh, I didn't know that part.
No, you don't blow bubbles in it. I have this. Okay. So those are good. What?
I guess it could start in the asshole and then dribble out too.
Do you guys want to hear something horrible? This is probably, but it's really funny.
When we started having...
We were driving on Halloween, and we had watched that Michael Jackson documentary about... Should I not? Is this going to ruin your reputation?
No.
I mean, it's horrible. And like, obviously people still play his music and what he did to those kids. But the part where it's like,
I was going to say that, like, people are like, can you still listen to Michael Jackson's music? I think
Totally.
at the very least, we should agree that we can't listen to PYT anymore.
we definitely not listen to PYT anymore. But there's that part, you know what? I don't know. Well, I've already come this far because people are like, what is it? When it's like, cause that's his Thriller. When we're driving and Smokey just goes, expose your asshole, get on all fours.
Well, the first we just said that, and then we kept going. But he
Raped a bunch of kids and nobody cares.
that documentary was very explicit.
It felt worse for the people it happened to, I'm sure.
I hope it wasn't, but yeah, I'm sure it was.
It's time for Top of the Cob.
Now that we've made a bunch of child molestation
Now we
jokes,
made a bunch of asshole
let's
jokes.
let's go to our bottom of the cob.
It's the top with a cob. We're doing it right every day. You just take a bite, top of the cob.
So my Top of the Cob is this. I did have about how easy eating vegetarian has been. But I have a thing where I pick at my feet. I pick at my toe. I like to peel my toenails off. It's been my Top of the Cob before. Sometimes I pick at them so much and I kind of just go at them and don't even realize it. Like Blanche used to cram her dew and she would just compulsively lick her paws and nibble. And I don't think she knew she was doing it. And the other day I was picking at my big toe, as I do, just going at it. And Smokey Husky was like, hey, what are you doing? And he went and got a boot that I had, like a pair of boots. And he put a boot on my foot. And he was like, stop picking at your foot.
Put a boot on it.
He put a boot on it. You put a boot on me. And so I couldn't get at my foot. I just picked at the other one. But you went and put a boot on my foot so I wouldn't get to it. And that was an act of love.
It was much deserved.
Thank you. Now, what's your Top of the Cob?
I did not prepare for this, but I will, keeping in line with what I'd been talking about before, which is
Assholes.
assholes. The previous part we were talking about local Vermontonian things, and I love a locally made tart crisp apple cider, like a nice boozy,
Like a hard cider?
Yeah,
Yeah.
but like not those super sweet ones, but they're just sort of crisp and fall tasting and refreshing. I had just gone on a record-setting bike ride.
Nope. He went on a bike ride with one other person, and he comes back. He's like, did you hear any of the scuttlebutt about my record? And I was like, oh my God, I'm married to a 65-year-old white dude. There's no record.
I was told that it was
The fastest bike ride that Twin Farms had ever seen. You were wearing my sweatshirt, by the way.
It was a woman's small sweatshirt.
My husband was my
My
champion.
fingers were frozen solid. It was very cold.
You
out.
asked me for clothes, and that's all I had to give you.
But I did that and then like took a hot shower and drank a cold, crisp, boozy Vermont cider, and it was fantastic. And then I passed out for like 45 minutes.
You passed out so hard that I left the room because I was like, if he dies, I don't want to be in here. My bottom of the cob is SeaWorld.
I have a second top of the cob.
Oh, okay.
Wood-burning fireplaces. They just make me so happy.
Yeah.
So many fireplaces, especially in LA, are like electric ones or they're gas, I guess the gas ones. And it's like a bunch of rocks.
Or it's just a DVD of a fire.
Yeah, it's a Netflix fireplace.
Hey, I had a fireplace that was rocks.
And it's the thing. And I'm not saying that those are horrible. It's not my bottom of the cob. I'm just saying that I just like.
It's not my bottom of the cob or anything.
But I love making a fire in a fireplace. The smell, I could watch it burn. I just like stared at it all night and like didn't fall asleep for 45 minutes. I was watching a fire
murder.
burn.
Okay, my bottom of the cob is SeaWorld. Orca whales can swim something like 80 miles a day and they just float in their tanks and they're unhappy. And I understand a zoo having like a precious rhino in captivity so no one poaches it. But having these dolphins and these, I understand about like buy kill and I understand that there are poachers out there, but like having these animals in captivity for this selfish thing so your gross kid can come and watch like a seal. They don't belong in that kind of captivity. The tank is not big enough and they are depressed. Orcas don't need to be captured like that. And you are contributing to that by going to SeaWorld. So it is selfish and it is a bad choice. And now that you have the information, just know that you're doing bad things.
All the audio stuff too, like dolphins and all that stuff.
All the sonar
they're
reverberating off the tanks and it hurts them.
And big crowds yelling around them.
Imagine if you stuck your head in a metal box and you just screamed all day and you had to listen to your own screams. And you're like, where's my mother? And she's like, I'm right here, but she was never right behind you. Anyways, that's my bottom of the cob. What's your bottom of the cob?
Again, didn't prepare this, but my bottom of the cob
Because
is...
I definitely told you to do it.
You did, but there's two parts now. My bottom of the cob is some of you will know what I'm talking about. When you buying a ticket to a sporting event, like a basketball game, and it's like a big thing and it's cost a bunch of money and you go because it's just expensive and there's parking and food and all this stuff. And it's like whatever the amount of money you spent on this ticket. And then you go to the game, especially if it's like your team isn't the home team. And then you like lose in a humiliating fashion or even at all. And you're just
Your face is painted. You're going to leave the arena.
That's funny.
Yeah.
But like that feeling to like, I just spent a bunch of money and I'm miserable. Like it's like that feeling of like walking out of an arena surrounded by like
people
the
who hate
asshole
you.
fans of the other team.
Yeah.
And you're just like blew a bunch of money on feeling miserable. It makes me never want to buy tickets to a sporting event. I'd rather watch it on TV.
But you would go.
I think I prefer watching sports
On
at
your tiny
home.
laptop plugged into a hotel wall.
Yeah, because if they're winning, you feel amazing anyway.
I've only ever felt that loyalty to like a sport when I watch Ronda Rousey, and when she lost, hey, I'm picking at my feet. When
Put a
she
boot on
lost,
it.
I remember how horrible I felt that I almost cried, and I understood. It was like watching Superman shit himself because I love her, and that was hard for me. But such is sport, right, my fellow dude? Such is sport.
Bottom of the cob is man shitting his pants.
That's on top of the cob. Someone like farting and shitting at the same time and burping. I love you.
I love you.
Thank you for being on my podcast.
That was very, very sweet to be. It's always funny. People are like, oh, it's so nice to be here. Like we're just in our hotel room.
Yeah, we're going to turn this off, and then I'm going to ask you to go to the lobby and get me water while I take a shower.
Oh, that is my bottom of the cob.
Butterball knows Thanksgiving can bring so much joy, but also so many cooking questions. What size turkey? What's the best way to roast? How do I carve it? Don't panic. Butterball is here to help. Just give us a ring at the Butterball Turkey Talk line. We'll help with what's on the table so you can focus on those around it. Call 1-800-BUTTERBALL or text 844-877-3456 to reach our turkey experts. Butterball. Today, we turkey.